Fangs of Fire here. Welcome to another League of Dracula 2025 match. Today, I say today, but I've already streamed several games this day. But for this match, we are doing the last match between Terminus and El Rittmeister. Okay, so interesting. So what we know about Terminus, of course, competed in League of Dracula 2024, actually was my quarterfinalist opponent, who actually almost got me, but But on the other hand, El Rittmeister is actually, from what I have heard about him, he is actually a friend of Terminus, who joined the tournament through a certain amount of persuasion from Terminus, and then lo and behold, in the league draw, they ended up rolling each other in the second for the 7th round. Will El Rittmeister make Terminus regret encouraging him to sign up? We shall see. Unlike my most recent videos, chat, if anyone is here, if anyone's here, then this time I can chat freely with you, as I am not one of the ones playing today in this video. So I'll do my best to answer whatever questions you might have. So yeah, Terminus is going for the what is it called these days? But yes, the Oktoberfest Hunter start. Terminus has only there it goes. Terminus finally decided on where he was going to begin. Aggie has his very first draw. Interesting. What shall he do with it? I know that most people choosing Saragossa. I'm not sure how I feel about Saragossa. Obviously that has to play around Spain's start, as the Oktoberfest setup highly provokes a art like that. Whoa, what do you know? Mia got surprising return already. Interesting. So the current records for these two, in terms of where they stand on the scoreboard, because this is their last game of the league phase before round 8, in which they will get 2 more games. 2 more games apiece versus opponents chosen by people of similar rank. Terminus currently stands in... Okay, let me take a peek at the chart. Music will stop for a moment. Currently stands at 8 wins, and if he wins this match, he'll proceed up to 7th place. and this will be Elm Rittmeister's third win if he wins the match. So personally, I am rooting for El Rittmeister in this because I would like it to be a bit more even on the bottom ends of the table. Oh, Jonathan Harker. That is useful. That is very useful in the other game, or at least can be, especially if he doesn't have a newspaper yet. That is a wise ally to. It is a very handy ally to have at the beginning of the game. Let us see. In the event you heard that, for some reason Discord thinks it's Halloween already, and therefore is trying to send creepy notification sounds. I'm hoping you didn't hear that, but I don't have streamer mode enabled, so you may have. Regardless, I pay it no heed. If you don't want to, if you think it sounds cool, then listen to it all you like, as many times as it ends up happening. Alright. Let's see here. Yep, the stay week 1 supply train. We've had a couple interesting events, but we have Jonathan Harker equipped, and we had Aggie use a search with Mina that same day, finding surprising return. So we have a few interesting developments, but apart from that, it's just your standard week 1 supply train. Just drawing cards, discarding them. Nothing all that remarkable discarded yet, so there is not much to talk about. This is why I do try to have a co-host to be a co-commentator. Makes it far more interesting for you lot, for those people who watch, especially those who watch it on YouTube, and are not all that familiar with the community. It makes it far more interesting, as then we can just talk about things in far more detail than I can do on my own. But whatever. I asked some and none came, but so. And I see that my viewer account has on Twitch has perked up a little. So feel free to say hi if you like. If not, and you want to simply lurk here, feel free to. But I hope you enjoy the show. This is El Rittmeister playing the Hunters versus Terminus as Dracula. Okay. So, rumoring the first location, the first encounter. So, he is at least claiming to have started with the vampire. Which, when it comes to week 1, false rumor tokens are very rare. Surprising return? I'm not sure I like that. Okay, checking Athens. Okay. I can't say that I like that one, but very well, very well. Mina's other event is now revealed to be chartered carriage. Holy bullets discarded. Hired scouts. Yeah, and this is part of why I would not have done that surprising return. I would have reserved the surprising return until such time where you could use it to actually to use it to summon Aggie back, or in the event Rufus had shown up and was the more appropriate ally, anyone to see due to him going to see some Rufus back. So I would check spots down Spain, personally. Varna and Constanta. Yeah, I would check spots. I would have gone with Madrid and Granada, personally. But that's just me. Varna and Constanta, perfectly respectable checks. They are definitely out of the way extremities. Yeah, I suppose I have to recognize the fact that I am unlikely to have that big an audience tonight for this game, as it is rather late at night here, as the game began at 9 p.m. in the eastern part of the U.S. 9 p.m. by eastern U.S. time. So I suppose I must just be content with just having a nice show for myself, to myself if necessary. And then when it goes onto YouTube, people can tell us what they think then. Pass? Was that a pass I saw? It looks as if they may have. It looks as if the hunters may have figured out horse economy. Yep. The fact that both of them passed in a row seems to indicate that they have figured out at least the white ones. A trade with Mina. Okay. Sure. Mina's showing a knife, so she doesn't. I mean, if she has a horse, then she must have obtained it recently. So, yeah, we have Harker, but we are getting very close to newspaper day. After one more day of play, it'll be newspaper day. But if in the event that they don't have that, they have Jonathan Harker for backup. And what's more, in the event that Dracula were to misdirect the next location due to it being, if he gets overconfident that this what I am assuming is a vampire, it matures. Jonathan Harker can help the hunters get back on track in the event they start going astray. So it is of course far too early in the game to call anyone ahead or behind or favored or anything like that. It is far too early in the game for that. But since El Rittmeister went with the Oktoberfest set, Rufus Smith, and they spent that surprising return because not only is because Aggie is also in the discard, and they had a surprising return. If they have the second surprising return, I suppose it's understandable to a certain degree, but I hope for the hunter's sake that they do have that, because otherwise that will be the two more powerful allies just gone for good if he is searching with this. Which I would. Which, with Jonathan Harker already equipped, I definitely would search with Rufus. Ah, he found it. A hide at Granada. The question is, can the hunters get there in time, and will they have the dogs / forewarned to deal with that? If not, mind you, even if they don't, we will now have the fact that all of them, that at least the majority of them recently passed at night. That seems to say that the horse economy is going to be pretty good. Oh, local rumors? Okay, that's a dud, obviously. Yeah, in case those who watch us on YouTube didn't know already, I am streaming this live on Twitch. Welcome one and all. Feel free to say hello if you like. Or if not, just lay back and enjoy the show for some nighttime entertainment. Okay. Yeah, Mina does not seem to have a horse yet. Which means that if I were the hunters, I would have had her supply. Then again, she is holding a chartered carriage, so she can go 1, 2, 3, 4 and get as far as Saragossa tomorrow. So I suppose there is reason for her to stay and go. But let's see. There's only been one dog's discarded as of yet. So in the event Mina is holding a dog's and that high card is a saboteur, then she will be. Oh, Mystic Research, 1 Dracula event. Ooh, that's good. That's really good. So long as it doesn't get upset by a hoax. So long as it doesn't get upset by a hoax, she'll be in good shape. She discarded a crucifix. Yeah, she has a knife, so makes sense. It makes me wonder. The fact that neither Goldaming or Seward moved, despite the fact that he is only 2 away from Granada, makes me wonder how many of the horses have they drawn so far. Are perhaps all three of them buried in the deck? Still buried in the deck? I don't know. Could be. Would be very unfortunate for the hunters if that is indeed the case, but one would think that if any of these three hunters moved, with how they've been behaving in terms of drawing tickets, they would have started moving towards Spain. It is an interesting thought, to be sure, and one that is definitely worth consideration. One thing I am slightly concerned about is Dracula could be waiting. If Mina doesn't indeed intend to use that charter carriage to move down to Saragossa, Dracula could very easily be waiting for her there. And that could be disastrous, to say the least. Long night. Okay, I hope you don't really intend to use that. And that was simply to, like, perhaps. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I suppose with Mystic Research, you're guaranteed not to give Dracula a Dracula event, but who knows how strong a hunter event you would discard through it. Because you don't get the hunter event, you discard it, at a cost of that, for getting that movement. Okay, Seward has gotten his horse. Okay, so now, if he is at Saragossa, Seward will at the very least be nearby, because I assume that he'll be going to Marseille. Yeah. Will the hunters be able to stop Granada? Yeah. As expected, Mina is using charter carriage to get to Saragossa. At least I assume Saragossa. It's possible that she'll only go as far as Bordeaux. One, two. Yep, going as far as Saragossa. And there he is. I called it. Spy. Okay, so Mia's showing a knife, but the fact that she is not showing a horse means that she likely has some other item that could be discarded instead. And if this is not a white one, perhaps you just show him your hand instead. Discarded a knife. But she had double knives, so she still has one. This is... So Mina does have forewarned, which means that if her last item is a horse, well, she would have used it if it were. Yeah, this is a bit of a grim situation. If Terminus can kill Mina, that'll discard a forewarned. Okay, claws. Escape. Okay. It seems as if Dracula got a tad unlucky with his hand, because opening up with claws is probably not what Terminus had hoped to do. And well done by Old Rittmeister to recognize that his need was to simply get out of there. So, possibilities of what happened after Granada. We know that he went to Madrid, because in order for it to be 2 steps in between Granada and Saragossa, he needs to have gone to Madrid at some point. With it having been a hide at Granada, that is. If Van Helsing can give Mina a sense of emergency, perhaps it is only with that I suppose Mina, there is long night, so Mia could move on to Madrid or Alicante, so as to be able to... Whoa, double stake discard. That's disturbing. Or rather, I suppose not so much disturbing as surprising. So there is a long night in play. Okay, so Alicante is safe to move into, so long as Dracula does not go there. And if she's coming all this way, separated from the other hunters, I hope to goodness that that's a stake that she's holding as her last card. Otherwise, if this is a fighting vampire, I don't see much hope for her being able to take it out. But... However, Dracula does have an interesting game to play, because if he does claim the points, what sort of trail will there be left? The hunters have now gone through the vast majority of the deck, and so therefore they are very likely to be very well armed. Okay, choosing to rest and instead of actually using the long night. Okay. The question is, can Mina get there? Or will they just laser focus on Dracula? Dracula still has wolf form. He can still go to sea as well. If Dracula wolf forms, what do you do as the hunters? I would definitely send Seward to check Bordeaux and see if he went there. I do think that Van Helsing should get moving. And possibly should have already began moving. 'Tis hard to say. Okay. No wolf form. So my instinct says that she is at Alicante, hoping to ambush Mina. As she continues towards Granada. Either that or at Barcelona, as that is the logical place for her to go, to resupply, to replace the knife that she lost to the spy. It's a bit of a guessing game. Where did Dracula not go? Yeah, at this point, despite the fact that Mina does have the forewarned, okay, Godalming found his horse at last. So now We have 2 mounted horsemen. Alright. Okay. So, given the circumstances, I would actually have Seward check Barcelona. Since he didn't wolf form, I would have him check Barcelona. Not there. Okay. So, unless Van Helsing trades Mina a sense of emergency, there is a 0 chance that they will be able to deal with the ruined vampire there. So unless you can do that, and Mia has a stake, I would say Van Helsing should set sail. Oh, is that... Have I called what is about to happen? Interesting. Interesting. We'll see. The thing is, even if it does happen that way... Okay, Mia also got another event in addition to that. Sense of emergency indeed. Wow. Mind you, this is a lot of events put into one rumored vampire. And therefore, yeah, now she's gonna have to use a forewarn to destroy a saboteur, otherwise it'll have been all for nothing. As distasteful as it is. Last event is planned ambush. Good. That's a nice contingency plan. It is definitely a very good card to have on Mina, as it serves as a very good contingency plan. So where is Dracula? He is not at Madrid. That is still on the trail. So he could be at Alicante. He could be at... And the thing is that since he wasn't at Alicante, and Madrid is the first thing after Granada, in order for him to land at Saragossa when he did, he had to go to Santander. So he is either at Alicante, or he is at Toulouse. Wow, that's a lot of cards and effort going into one location. But that being said, that did stop Dracula from scoring 7 points with a non-fighter vamp. So that's good. That much is good. However, we now have other things to deal with, and Mina definitely needs to resupply. I'm going to take the guess, especially since Van Helsing is still sitting around up there, that I'm going to take the guess that the last horse is still buried in the deck, and that Mina will dig for it when she moves to, I assume, Madrid. Can't say. Obviously, I can't say for sure exactly how L. Rittmeister is going to play this. But he sent a chartered carriage, a sense of emergency, and a forewarned on a saboteur. I'm not sure if that was worth it. I'm wondering if, as much as it is good to cut off Dracula from 7 points, was it really worth spending 3 events, a stake, and losing a knife along the way? That's 5 cards that Dracula took away from her in the process. And if that had matured, Dracula would have lost all of that. None of that would be a threat at all. He would have gotten 7 points, yes, but he would not Okay, now we know that he did not go to Alicante. Because I honestly would have wolf formed there. If I from Dracula's. So because since if El Rittmeister is paying enough attention, we know that now that bad horse roll, that he went to Toulouse from Saragossa. Oh, caught him at Marseille. Okay, I might actually, depending on what Gul'dan's gear is, I might have him try to take him on 1v1. Because Seward has 0 events, and therefore, if it's a fog here, he can pop it, and there's no fear forewarned. Especially since, okay, mob. That hurts, but it's not as bad as a fog. Arguably, at least. Okay, I would not have bothered with that, because 3 damage versus 4 does not matter in this case. And discarding the last stake when there could be a vampire, I think is a bit hasty. Or is something of a waste, because now you're gonna have to dig through those 7 remaining cards. Okay, trading with Gul'dan, possibly giving him a planned ambush, or an escape, or possibly a heroic leap. We'll see. Lucky find, planned ambush, Lucy's revenge, perhaps. Because we have only just entered week 2. So he only has to survive 2 salvos of damage before he tries to escape his bats. And of the remaining events that there are, is there a surprising return to summon Aggie back? We'll see. More specifically, is there the only remaining surprising return left? Surprising return left to summon Aggie back. So I would move Mina to Madrid, yeah, and El Rittmeister agrees, because at worst this encounter is going to be like, the worst thing it could be for Mina would be a spy, so she would have which would make her have to lose her other knife. Okay, Lucy's revenge, good. That means that Dracula will have to survive 3 volleys of damage before he can try to escape his bat, instead of 2. And also, or alternatively, Gul'dan has a great strength. Has a great strength protecting him. So Seward is definitely the squishier of the 2 at present. Both of them have a horse. A knife was discarded. Mina has a knife, so I think I am expecting a Holy Bullets play. Scratch that. Apparently all those have been discarded. Strength versus him. Punch. Okay. I see that as a good way to open. Okay, what did Gul'dan open with? Also punch. Alright. How many firearms are left? There are 2 of each firearm left. So there's a total of 4. Yeah, Seward will have to be careful. I mean, if El Rittmeister has gone really lucky, the hunters could be holding a great strength. That card that Van Helsing has could be great strength, in theory. Let's see. Alright, let me guess. Claws. Plotting. Oh dear. That isn't good for El Rittmeister. The good news is that it's against the dodge instead of a weapon. So Dracula will likely have picked up a clause. Oh, okay. I definitely don't like the double dodge there. You are the one that provoked this fight, El Rittmeister. So you definitely should go on the offensive. It's at the very least with Goldaming. I can't say I like the situation El Rittmeister is in. So whatever he does, he is almost certainly going to target Seward. So I would use your highest DPS card. I would use your highest damage card, barring maybe Heavenly Host, depending on whether you have CG or not. And use that to just get the damage in, because alright, the hunters have selected their cards. What will Dracula do? Because I would imagine that Terminus will guess that Seward will have a firearm to deflect one clause. Oh, targeting Goldaming. This is interesting. Going claws on Goldaming, straight into the rifle. Blocked. Blocked and retaliation. And Heavenly Host from Seward. So took a solid 6 damage. That round went fully in El Rittmeister's favor, obviously. But that is quite a solid blow. And he still hasn't tried to escape. It is interesting how Seward played Heavenly Host even though he was at 4 HP. It's possible that was something of a desperate bid for, like, trying to get in some damage before he died. I don't know. Very interesting, to be sure. Fangs into a knife. Seward has the last knife. Okay, it looks as if El Rittmeister said in Discord that he would be doing his best to get his revenge today, and oh, Lucy's revenge is still in play. However, on the other hand, Dracula now knows that Seward has no means of blocking claws, because in round 2 of this combat, Dracula played plotting. So if he has the second clause, he can kill Seward unless the hunters have great strength, which they have very few events left. They only have 3 that are unknown. And they are not far into the deck. So great strength is unlikely, possible but unlikely. So if he has a second clause, he might be able to just claim a few influence points. Fangs again into a punch. It's true. Fangs does heal him. He may actually have to cancel the card to even survive. Yeah, because now he knows that whatever Gul'daming does. Okay, so that keeps him alive for the round. And for any of you who may be wondering why isn't he escaping, there's Lucy's Revenge in play for this combat, which, for any of you who are not familiar with the card, Lucy's Revenge can do one of three things. It can prevent a lethal hit on Gul'daming, it can prevent a bite on Gul'daming, and also it can cancel an Escape as Bat or an Escape as Mist card. And that's why Dracula has chosen to try to fight this out. So, Dracula is now out of Fang cards. However, if he has either Strength or Claws, Seward will die. So, I think that this is going to be like a parting shot. Oh, except that he used his plotting. GG, well done, El Rittmeister. That is a full 15 ID as well. GG will... Oh, double dodge. Not yet. Oh, wow. Oh dear. Whoops. Oh dear, whoops. But very good. Oh dear, whoops. If Terminus wanted to play nice to his friend, he could jump into the sea. And the thing is, since he went down all the way down to 1 HP, he can't use wolf form, so he's gonna be one space away from them, and they can continue the chase. So, Seward can heal up 2 health. Mina has a planned ambush that Van Helsing could perhaps trade around. I'm not sure that Dracula can come back from that. With 4 HP on Seward, choosing to feed and take a daytime 2v1 would just be asking for death. This is tense. Terminus could choose to just jump into the sea and kill himself. But no, this is a tournament. He's going to play it out, see if he can get some influence at least, lower El Rittmeister's score. But trying to win when that combat is this early in the game, and you are nowhere near the castle and don't have any health to do wolf form, it is going to be very hard for Terminus to win this. After such a combat like that. And to be clear, Dracula was full health going into that fight, and they reduced him down to 1. Even though it was only a 2v1. Granted, Lucy's Revenge upped their power level, in a certain sense, but oh boy. This is very bad for Terminus. So, alright. Oh, and Gul'daming guesses it. He went to Genoa. Fog. Gul'daming does not have the other forewarned, and this means that he can that Terminus can feed and then go to sea, and go to the Ionian, and head east. Okay, so that buys him a little bit of time. So Seward needs to refresh his cards. I would supply with Seward, have Van Helsing come off the island, to come and help. So I would now have Mina. So I think that he has a couple more night supplies. Okay, that's no major big deal, fortunately. Yeah, they both played Heavenly Hosts, and both of them struck home. Yeah, he can rest up to be ready for when the fog lifts. Here's the interesting thing, though. If... Okay, Jonathan Harker revealing Santander, so Mina may have to go up there. Because this is not the sort of time you want a card such as, for instance, Devilish Power going into Dracula's possession. Especially if you were to pick up an unonoticed... Oh, except... Okay, so Dracula's gonna feed. And we know that this has to be Toulouse. However, the hunters have now discarded all of the stakes. So, dealing with... If that's a fighting vamp, they may have some difficulty dealing with that. One thing is for sure. Through that fight, El Rittmeister has made sure that if Terminus does somehow win this, it will be a very, very low IDS win. Okay. Let's hope that this is something that Mina can settle with just a knife. If it's wolves or bodyguards, she can subdue it by only taking but 2 damage. If it's a desecrated soil, Dracula will heal off of that, and actually start beginning to get into a at least more balanced position. I wouldn't say a strong position because the hunters have nearly fully cleared the trail, after all. It is a wolves, okay. Fortunately, the knife makes it only 2 damage. So that's that cleared. I mean, that would have affected her, if she hadn't searched. So she could have gotten away with simply resting and letting it go. Because he might have chosen to lair it. So now the question is, will he wolf form, or will he go to sea? He knows that Mina has a hypnosis to help locate him again if he goes to sea. He has already used feed. Sea will do more damage, so if I were Dracula, I might actually wolf form down into Rome. So that you can, have them try to chase you up, go up to Munich, something like that. Okay, yeah, he's wolf forming. But the question is to where? Now the problem is that the hunters now do have the problem that they do have to deal with Toulouse. And, really not many of them have not many of the hunters have things with which to. I had a train of thought, but I completely lost it. This has already been quite a wild ride, despite how we haven't even reached week 3, let alone week 4. Okay. I honestly might check Rome if I were Elritmeister, because Seward can check Munich, but he can't check Rome. Okay, Elritmeister seems to have a similar mind. Alright, from Genoa. Since we know Toulouse is still on the map, options are Clermont-Ferrand, Geneva, Zurich, Munich, or a fake wolf form to say Venice, Florence, or Milan. We know that he is in one of these 6 locations. Yeah, they've already covered the extremities. So Van Helsing has been holding on to the 3rd horse this whole time. Yeah, Bordeaux. Yeah, just walk to Bordeaux, and then rest up there for a bit, I suppose. Meanwhile, Van Helsing will at least attempt to deal with whatever Toulouse is. But we know that he doesn't have any stakes. Okay, and it was good, and it's nice that Clermont-Ferrand, while is checking a potential bullform location, but while also heading towards Toulouse. I agree that was an excellent move. I think that was indeed a good move by Elritmeister. So it seems as if it's most likely Zurich or Geneva, because. Okay, let's see what. I don't expect anything fancy from Drac, unless that is that he did a fake wolf form to Venice, and perhaps now will hide. Okay, Jonathan Harker will reveal that it is Toulouse, although I'm pretty sure that Elritmeister will have figured that out by now. Excuse me. The question is, will the hunters be able to clear Toulouse? If they can't, they will give him back feed. And that is not something the hunters will want to do. They got him really low, and they want to keep him that way. If I were a Drac, I might actually just hide, regardless of where he is, because especially if he is at Geneva or Zurich, because then, if this matures, Marseille and Genoa get wiped off the map, and you can just move into Marseille again, or feed again while you are protected by a hide card, and therefore protected by 2 encounters. I think that hide is probably the best thing to do right now. If they find you, you're protected by 2 encounters. If And if this matures, you can feed again and get yourself out of heroic leap range. Alright, so what will Gul'daming do? Will he try for scouts? Because we've only had one hired scout so far. Wait, no, make that 2. My error, sorry. Checking Florence as a just-in-case move. Where will he move Seward? To Venice. Okay, so we've ruled out the trickery move at Venice. Van Helsing is going to go to Toulouse. Yeah, I think that Van Helsing's last event is the planned ambush that Mina was holding earlier. I think that he traded it off of her to help him with this fight in Toulouse. Because more likely than not, this is going to be a fighting vamp of sorts. Let's see. Here we go. Reckless vampire. Alright. Yep, it's a planned ambush. Okay, let's see if Van Helsing can clear this. It's a one-on-one, so chances are this will be a painful combat. Okay. Fangs. Well, Fangs won't heal him, so why not? So I suppose, obviously if you have an anti-Fang card, I might have just played a rifle or pistol. He's not gonna heal off of the Fangs, and this isn't an ambush, so just take the 2 damage, but get some damage onto it. I think that would have been my move, considering how crucial it is to kill this thing. So it's obvious that Van Helsing does not have a garlic or crucifix, because he definitely would have done that. Okay, punch. Ooh. This is definitely going rough. Is it possible? I mean, the hunters could have great strength. Ah. That toggle button. Whoops. Do you just play Heavenly Host now? If you have it. We know he doesn't have a knife. Ooh, rifle. Rifle destroyed. Okay, so now a hit from a claws would just flat up kill you, even with great strength. So this may be Terminus' comeback, because this will kill him. If he does kill Van Helsing, he will get 3 influence, and after that, it will deal. And after that, we'll gain 7 from this thing maturing. Claws into Holy Circle. Okay. So he had Holy Circle as an emergency backup. Okay. That was that was close. However, now Terminus begins his comeback. Because now he's gonna get feedback, so he's gonna be able to feed at it. He's gonna spend his turn feed. He's going to at least have the choice of, have the option to, feed to get out of heroic leap range. However, if he does that, we will know that he is still very close by. So I might move once or twice before doing that. Maybe. Not sure. It depends on... it depends on what he's sitting on. My suspicion is that he's sitting on a hide card right now. Welcome, Hypnotic Scale DQVP, if I'm reading that right. How's your day going? Or night, maybe. Depending on what time of day it is for you. Okay. So he moved and didn't do the feed. So I would move to... I would start by moving... I would go to Munich. Make sure that he didn't go in there now that Seward has vacated it. That would be one of the last things you would want. Okay. Good. So now, check Nuremberg, perhaps? Ooh, I don't know that I would like that one. I suppose he's making it so that Van Helsing and possibly also Mina can heal faster? Question mark? Okay, apparently not. Yeah, I think that he's going to be giving her his horse so that she can pick up the chase. Or is he gonna be playing Hypnosis, I wonder? Hired scouts, okay. This should give us some information. Let's see. I would do Zurich and check out Nuremberg as well. He's at Strasbourg. Okay, Dracula has been revealed, but whether he went Zurich or Geneva, if not, or possibly both, we don't yet know that. Mind you, we still have Jonathan Harker in play, so if it comes down to it, we will eventually learn that from him. So. Yeah, that'll be him giving her his horse. And then Mina will likely just rest so that she's a little bit more fit for the chase. So, will Terminus dare to feed? I think not, because they know where you are. Two of them can reach you via horses, And Mina could very well have a chartered carriage, and there could very well be a renewed vigor floating about as well. Okay, yeah. He has now moved from Strasbourg, but where to? He has a large number of options for that. So, what now? I think Goldaming might want to just supply. That may sound a bit weird, but with you knowing that Dracula is in this area of the map, and you having two hunters that are reasonably equipped to chase after him, apart from the person who's sitting at Munich, you may want to just guard that gateway, and simply have the first place that Seward checks be Nuremberg. Plus, it would help. That would mean that you can also work towards the stakes, the knife that was discarded. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Looks as if he has chosen to do as I thought he should. Okay, checking out Zurich. So the answer lay at Geneva. He did Wolfhorn to Geneva, hide, and then move to Strasbourg. We now know that. I might supply with Mina too, honestly. That being said, you definitely do want to intercept him before he reaches the coast. That being said, with that being said, he doesn't have enough health to put to sea and then also Wolfhorn ashore. Even if he simply hops across the channel. Or North Sea, and with that you can easily confine his movement with CG, because there is still one heavenly host in someone's hand, and even with two, and you could put a permanent, like say he would to Le Havre and hopped across, you could put him at London, and then if he went over in the North Sea, you could just CG him right back out to sea and kill him. There are lots of Dracula is still in a very tight spot. Yeah, and that is another thing that they can potentially gain in from this supplying. They can potentially get back those heavenly hosts. to power up CG if he has it. How many Drac events are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's still 14 left in the deck. That is actually precisely 1 in 3 chance that the bottom card is a Drac event. Unless there are still some Mystic Research supplies. I do not know whether or not there are. At this point I have lost count, since that was so long ago. Yeah. What looked like a very easy win for Earl Rittmeister just a bit ago has turned into a very tense game. Because Terminus has begun to make a comeback. I might have done a psychic scan there, see if he went to Brussels or Paris. But other than that, but also, it is true that Mina does need a bit more health. But I would say that Mina is now ready to set out and begin searching locations and start dealing with trail and such. So, okay, moving some more. I wonder if the hunters have a newspaper reports. Speedy Telegraph, okay. Any renewed vigor to go along with it? Because that would be good. Apparently not. So, step 1, usually, when people do this, is have Van Helsing supply, see if you get hired scouts. However, the chances of that are relatively low, as there's only 1 left in all of those cards. That being said, we could get we could get an evil presence. Okay. Oh, wow, found him. Well now. So he's being guarded by a reckless vampire. Okay. This is interesting. Because Seward, so long as he gets a good horse roll, can also get here. And Dracula is still at only 3 HP. This, I think, unless something... So long as Seward can get a good enough horse roll, this should be the end for Terminus. Okay. Alright, Mia takes 2 damage. She's still out of claw range, so she's still out of 1 claw equals death range. So that's good. And we know that Seward also has a knife. So if Seward goes up and they play a double knife round 1, that's just a guaranteed kill. Even without any events. That's just a guaranteed kill. But if Seward does not get a good horse roll, and I mean, another thing that could happen is Mina could be holding Heroic Leap, and that would finish Dracula off. Horse roll. Okay, that's not. It's not my place to say anything, but horse rolls could still. Yep. With that horse roll, it's GG. With that horse roll and Seward being at full health, it's GG. There is nothing at this point. There is nothing that Dracula can do about it. He might get. He could, in theory, get one more ambush point. But and therefore lower the IDS that Rittmeister will win through this. Stream. Would you like to have a stream? Your choice, but I would appreciate it. Appreciate it. Your choice, but I would appreciate it. Okay, so Seward has a garlic in addition to his knife. That means that the Reckless Vampire is never going to land a. That means that he's just going to do knife garlic, which means that. Which means that this Reckless Vampire is never going to land a fang hit. So yes, this is going to be a win for Terminus. Sorry, that is completely false. This is going to be a win for Rittmeister, so long as he does this right. It is still possible, in theory, that he could just bungle this by playing the wrong cards, but I think that he has played enough Fear of Dracula to know that if he does a double knife, he will be guaranteed to. Okay, yeah, so Seward takes 2 damage, but that kills the Reckless Vampire. Because Garlic is a reactive card to both Fangs and Claws. Congratulations, Rittmeister. Well played. You could have done it a little bit better. Had you saved that, you could have summoned back Aggie for that fight, and then wouldn't have healed when he Fangs Seward. Local rumors, okay. As for Guldoming, I mean, if he can get there, pile on. Make it even easier. But, like for instance, a charred carriage, as there are rare lines to get up there. And there's the last scouts. Wow. But the thing is that you. So you went Geneva, Paris, Strasbourg, Brussels or Frankfurt, then Cologne. Alright. Yeah, so they just need to play their knives, and Dracula is dead, no matter what he does. Seward has selected his card. Mina has selected a card. Except for that, you need for offensive card. Yeah, he was trying to cut his losses. Yeah, claw and knife. Did you well play it both? Well, did you well play both? Nice partial comeback. Terminus. Nice partial comeback, Terminus. Alright, there we go. El Rittmeister has won the game. Alright. El Rittmeister, come to voice channel 3 if you want to chat a bit, as I did notice as I did notice a couple things you could have done better. Alright, Eldon, so come to voice channel 3 if you want to chat a bit, as I did know a couple things you could have done better. Alright, let's see. Yeah. See you, Terminus. See you, Terminus. A shame that he cannot join us, but oh well. It is rather late, and I will likely, as soon as we chat with El Rittmeister is filling out the post-game report, which, as is the obligation for the contestants, and then he will join us for a small chat. So that is El Rittmeister's third win, and that will make him go up to 7, and that will make him surpass Roy the 11th, as he has a far higher medium Burkle score. But for you two people who may not have any interest in this, thank you for watching, and see you in the next, in my next stream. Bye bye. It's just my style. Welcome, El Rittmeister. Congratulations on your win. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I may need to adjust the sound for that. Give me a moment.
Sure.
Go ahead and talk a little bit. As that's...
Okay, well, I was just wondering what the silly mistake just did to me, because I could fairly won with just one hit, but I mistook the card for Seaward's card, so I knew that Seaward got a dodge. But it was Lord Godalming that was playing first, so...
Okay.
That was a mistake for me.
So, However, there is one other major mistake that 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 would have made you kill him a round sooner. You recall how you used a surprising return for searching? Had you reserved that for summoning back, since at that point, before then, you drew all 3 allies. Had you saved that and then had it at the time of Marseille, you could have summoned back Aggie, and then the fangs would not have healed him, and then you would have killed him that round. So, surprising return as a searching card. I mean, like, if you are almost certain that he's at CAG and you don't want him to be able to hide and get an extra card to protect himself, then sure, that's fine. But under normal circumstances, I think that you're better off saving. So long as you have an ally in the deck, and it's not just Harker in the deck. So long as you have either Aggie or Rufus in the deck, or both in this case, you are better off waiting for the right moment. The vast majority of the time. Yeah, when you used it, there were a host of different places he could have been. If it had been perhaps after that wolf form, you could have checked. You could have used it to check Munich, Rome. You could have basically when it really saves you time, then it's definitely fine to do so. But when you have but especially when you have Aggie in the deck, that is, and Dracula starts down in Spain and starts walking out, you almost always have a chance to pounce on him. If he chooses to walk out of Spain. Especially with the Oktoberfest start, I will add. So I think that could have been played better. But nonetheless, I also do question whether you might have been better off just letting Granada go. Because you spent a total of 5 cards on that one spot. Between events and items. So I do have but it worked out, so I can definitely respect wanting to get rid of the Ruiner token. I can definitely respect that, but it is sometimes you
pay off. I know.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but but nonetheless, congratulations on getting this win. That puts you now in 17th place rather than 18th place on the table, and that means that that means that your opponent for round 8 will be either Roy the 11th, or in the event that Chibko manages to get at least one win off of Wukajik, it'll be Chibko who you face for the last round.
Okay, both of them I haven't played yet. And yeah, what you were saying about wasting a lot of events on just one spot, I did feel like I was overextending myself just for a single spot. It would pay off had I made the right choice in the combat with Dracula. That's sometimes my major mistake, I guess. I just focus on one event and lose kind of the bigger picture is for me.
It is difficult to tell. It may have been worth it, although losing a Forewarned or a Saboteur is definitely not pleasant. I mean, it worked out. The important thing is that it did work out, but let me just caution you that there are other times that you do that where it turns out just disastrous as a result. Because I've seen that happen before. Don't just do that willy-nilly, in other words. sometimes you just gotta cut your losses and say, okay, it's not gonna happen. Which, by the way, nice holy circle on Van Helsing there. That definitely follows that very practice. I was seriously worried about that.
I was too. Once I didn't play the rifle when he played class. I knew that I just gotta get out of there, otherwise I would be giving away some free info.
Speaking of that fight, I think that you could have done better. I think you should have played. I take it that rifle was like your only real weapon, based on what I saw.
Yep.
I would have just accepted the 2 damage from the fangs since the vampire was at full health, and shot it for 2 damage because you were counting on getting on 2 rifle hits in essentially. With what you had. So I think that you should have taken advantage of that his card results first, and therefore doesn't heal it. And what's more, this is not an ambush, so he doesn't get an influence point from that. I think that you should have just taken the damage, shot it, got it within range for a kill. Basically, prep the kill. That being said, there are arguments both ways. It's difficult to say. I will say that this was made far more interesting by the fact that you did make those mistakes, and the Terminus made a bit of a comeback, because realistically, you are so far behind in IAS that in terms of the league phase, that just won't matter anymore. It made the game more interesting.
Yeah, I know. And actually, I don't know which place is Terminus right now, but I guess losing this match also did almost nothing to his ideas.
Terminus currently stands at 10th place. I have the table right in front of me, actually. With this win, you will tie Roy the 11th 3 wins, but your medium Burkle score is much higher than his, a full 16 over his. So.
Okay.
And so, tell me, who are you hoping to face, Roy the 11th or Chipko? Because it's going to be one or the other of those.
Well, I guess I haven't heard from Chipko at all. I know that Roy the 11th sometimes just types in the chat, so I'm picturing like in a funny character, funny to play with. About Chipko, I don't know nothing. So I guess either will be good. I just want to find out how playful or how of a chill guy is Roy the 11th.
Yeah, in order to, there's still hope for you to qualify for knockout. Although, with with the 16th place person being Snuffleupagus, at 4 wins, it will be tough, but it is still possible. Especially with this win, it has made that it'll be a little less hard, as you actually have a higher medium Burkles than Snuffleupagus does. So if you get just 1 win and Snuff doesn't get any, then which, considering that he is looking like that he will be facing someone along the lines of Combat Wombat or Geo for his final opponent. Okay. If you maintain a higher medium Burkles than he does, then it might be good enough for you to just win 1 more in the 8th round. Maybe. We'll see. But
we'll see.
For my part, my opponent is already settled, since the only thing that can change at the higher end of the score is Wakajic is the only one who has not finished his games, and he is already and he's above me, so it'll only shuffle people down. I am going to have to go up against Mr. Green. Very difficult
Oh,
opponent.
good.
Very difficult
Yeah, I remember
opponent.
playing Mr. Green early in the tournament, and was one of the most interesting games that I played because I just knew there that I was so set on my ways. Because I used to play Dracula with Terminus completely out of the league, out even the Discord chat. Um, we met and we started playing together, and I was used to how Terminus played so much that when I faced Mr. Green, he just he just swept the floor with me.
Well, don't feel too bad about that. Mr. Green has been part of the community for ages. He is one of the oldest members of the community, older even than Scott Sword, if I have my facts correct. I
Okay.
and he and when I first joined the community, approximately to it was early 2023. So more than 2 years ago at this point. More than 2.5, in fact. Uh, mm, my he taught me a lot of what I know. So but at this point, he and I are very evenly matched. So I imagine that it'll be quite a show. It will be very interesting. He and I have battled before. Last time we faced in a tournament was, in the teams tournament in the spring. He and I were actually teammates. Okay. So the last time we faced in a tournament was back in League 2024, where we faced each other in a third place playoff. After we both lost in the semifinals to our opponents. But I suppose I should close out my Twitch stream, but then we can chat a little bit more about the details going forward. But thank you everyone on Twitch for watching, and see you all next time. Bye bye.